the unknown. What am I gonna do if I'm out there? You know, how is this gonna happen? How is that gonna happen? But now my relationship with money and these different things change. So I understand now that it don't matter where I'm at, I'm gonna be straight.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, we live, brother Antoine. Okay, here we go. Here we
Yes,
go.
sir.
Okay, yes, sir. Man, I want to thank everyone for tuning in for a special episode. This is a surprise episode today of Off the Record with the great brother who has known me my entire youth, and we went to the same school. He was older than me, but he was a profound impact on my love for music coming up, and he has a great story that he's going to tell us today, a testimony about him battling cancer and winning. Brother Antoine, if you could just, say hello to everyone who is watching on Facebook and soon to be YouTube, please.
Man, I definitely want to give a greetings to all the people that took time out of your busy schedule to tune in and give your brothers, some of y'all time, man. So for that I thank everybody, man. So with that being said, I want to say what up, peace, yo, assalamu alaikum, whatever you go, whatever greeting you roll with, all of that.
Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I want to get started with our sponsors for this this month's podcast, or this episode's podcast. We have Pound Cakes by Mina. Her Instagram is cakes by _AMEENA. Her phone number is 773-629-1374. These sponsors are, matter of fact, out of Chicago, as I speak to a person from Chicago. Also, we have Rich No Matter in Economy. 312-472-1985, 773-297-4773. And one more sponsor, Brother Antoine. Hold on 1 second. And I want to thank you all, everyone who has sponsored ABC I Love Me, Akira's shop in Chicago as well, coffee shop, Politically Oppressed, and Street Premiere. And now the last one we have is Cheesecake Heaven. Shout out to Cheesecake Heaven. They've sponsored before, and we want to thank them for sponsoring again. The phone number is 510-575-3694. And the website is cheesecakeheavenchicago.com. Thank everyone for your support. Okay, so Brother Antoine, let's get straight into it. When did you find out that you had cancer?
I found out that I had cancer in the winter of 2013. I had just come back from tour. I went on a tour that was sponsored by Walgreens corporate office. And the tour was through the South, primarily like Miami, North Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. And on this particular tour, I decided that I wanted to lose weight. At that time, I was about 265 pounds. And I decided I wanted to lose some weight. I don't know what made me decide I wanted to lose weight, but I did. I made the choice that while I'm on this tour, I'm gonna lose weight. But I was getting on the treadmill exercising, and I started noticing after a while. I started noticing that every morning when I got off the treadmill, I would have a brown stain on the left side of my T-shirt, there where my pec, my nipple was, and I didn't really know what it was. I knew there was a sister that worked with the organization, and she would always be on the treadmill next to me. She was actually my supervisor. She was a personal trainer, so she would motivate me in the morning. But her thing was drinking coffee while she was on the treadmill. So a couple times I thought, that term say it, don't spray it. I thought maybe she was talking, and some coffee jumped out of her mouth and hit my shirt. But a couple mornings she wasn't there with me. I still noticed the stain, and that's when I had to look at it more seriously. I didn't know what it was. But in my investigation and reaching out to doctors, I was told that my chest was creating multiple cysts. They didn't know why my chest was creating multiple cysts. They just said that it's too many for them to count. They can't tell me how many it is. It's just that many. They said they don't know why. They gave me antibiotics, said keep an eye on it. Well, we ended up keeping an eye on it for damn near a year. They kept giving me antibiotics. It'll go away. It'll take care of itself. And then a year later, I was leaving the recording session with my family. And I was sitting at the dinner table. We went to eat. And the left side of my shirt, my chest just felt wet up under my T-shirt. So I had to dismiss myself from the table. And I went into the bathroom, and the left side of my chest was soaked. It was a huge brown stain. I mean, it was huge. And fluid was just shooting out of that side of my chest. And went to the hospital after that. One test led to another, and they told me that I had stage 3 breast cancer. So when they were saying keep an eye on it, we were keeping an eye on stage 1, 2, and 3. When they were telling me it's nothing, don't worry about it. And there I was, being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow. Okay, now once you realized that you had cancer, what was your mindset like to keep fighting through to beat cancer?
Well, my initial mindset wasn't to beat it. If I'm like the youth say, if I'm keeping it a buck, if I'm gonna keep it a buck, that wasn't my initial mindset. My initial mindset was, oh shit, cancer has killed my grandfather. Cancer has killed my Aunt Millie. Cancer has killed my Aunt Lonetta. Cancer has killed my Uncle Jeff. And now here I am, being diagnosed. And my grandmother was diagnosed within 2 weeks of my diagnosis with the same thing. So my initial thought wasn't to beat it. My initial thought was, Allah, why would you do this? Why? I've just had a daughter. My daughter is only 3 years old. 2 years old. I have a son that needs me. I'm working hard to get my life together. Allah, why would you do this to me? I know I'm not perfect, but I'm not a terrible man. Why would you allow this to happen to me? And as I was going through that pity party that I was having for myself, one night I thought about it. I thought about how my grandmother taught me to pray. And my mother, Sister Antoine Muhammad, taught me to pray. And they always told me in my prayer to ask God to use me as an example to show people that through him all things are possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it was something about, I don't know why that popped in my head one night, but when it did, I got excited as hell, bro. Here I am, diagnosed with cancer. I got excited. Like I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep because I got excited. I was excited because, hey, wait a minute. I know what's about to happen. God is going to deliver me from this because I asked for this. I can't be mad at how he decided to do it. But for some reason, I knew he was going to do it. So I felt like I just bought a ticket to the greatest show on earth.
Yes, sir.
Even though I was going through it, I was like, I was gonna, the very next day is when I announced to the world on Facebook that I was diagnosed with cancer because I wanted everybody to bear witness. God told me to do that. Let everybody know so they all can see what I'm about to do for you. I want them to know if they can do it too if they just believe. And that's what I did.
Wonderful. What did your son say when you told him?
Um, my son is one of the youth of Chicago that has been kind of desensitized to the concept of death. And it's not because he's engaged into the street life, but it's because he has so many friends that have died or been murdered by the hands of gang violence, by the hands of police, by the hands of so for him to hear it, and then he had just lost his mentor. His best friend's dad was like a mentor to him as well, and he had just died from cancer. So when I said it to him, it was more like, oh, not again. Like another, not you. And I smiled and I gave him a hug and I just told him that, even, though there are no guarantees, I feel very confident because God told me that I'm going to be okay. And I told him that I need him to trust in that because it's going to happen. And he never sweated it. He didn't sweat it since that conversation. He trusted me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm thankful. I'm glad.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you for your testimony and letting us and sharing that to help heal us. Alaikum salam. My name is Alaikum salam, my sister. Thank you, Marvin. I saw it. My sister Mimi says, thank you for sharing your testimony and all praises due to Allah. Okay, so Brother Antwone, for people who don't know, for people who don't know your work in the music, you've been in music since you were in high school. How did you get into fall in love with with hip hop and music? How'd you do that? What made you start doing that?
Man, what made me, I always was a fan of hip hop. Since Crush Groove. But what made me fall in love with hip hop was when the Nation of Islam, the concert with Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane, and Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah, back then, she was Queen Latifah and the Safari Sisters. She had dancing. And I remember all of them at the time. My mother was working for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at his house. And I remember all of them were invited to his house for dinner. And they were rappers, and I was sitting in the room with them. These cats on TV. I was like, man, I'm here with these cats. They do music, they rap. I love rap. And ever since then, it was on. I was like, man, and I remember Big Daddy Kane sent my brother, Sajadeen, to go and get him some Reggie O's pizza, some wings, some chicken wings. from Reggie O's Pizza, right across the street from the mall. And he gave him a $50 bill. And when Sajadeen brought the food back, he tried to give Big Daddy Kane his change. And he told him, man, keep the change, little man. And at that time, that wing didn't only cost about $4. So we talking like what, 80, 89? Keep the change for $50. I was like, man, shit, he's rich. I wanna do what he do. I want to do what he do.
Yes,
And
sir.
I was in love with hip hop ever since,
Mm. Well, I've seen you work with Chicago artists now. What Chicago artists are you working with, and have you worked with as far as in your music?
Once upon a time in the past life, I worked with everybody from Kanye, uh, Lupe. I still work with and interact with Rhymefest. Uh, uh, man, so many artists from the city. And out of the newer artists, I've worked with Katie. Um,
Mm.
I haven't officially worked with like Herbo and those guys on music, but I'm familiar with them and their team, and I've interacted with them consistently on a lot of different levels. But you know, G Herbo, Katie, uh, D-Lo, um, Bibby,
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
Sicko Mob,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
you know, um, yeah, man, it's a lot of artists from the newer generation. 600 Breezy,
Okay. Yes, sir.
uh, Dirt, a lot of the younger guys. You know what I mean? It was actually brother Christopher Muhammad, myself, and Minister Michael Muhammad that we all worked in tandem as a team with a lot of the Chicago artists and the street organization.
Wonderful. You spoke with me. You told me that dealing with your over or battling cancer and winning, you're beating cancer, that you got to speak with Lil Boosie and David Banner. What did they share with you?
They shared a lot of their story as far as like a lot of people think artists like David Banner started taking control of his health because of some rap shit. You know, I want to look sexy in my with my shirt off, but that man shared that he was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and he was given a certain amount of time to live if he didn't get it in check. So he
Mm.
got his health. He got his health in order to save his life. But the average person don't know that. You know, and all the hit records that Lil Boosie put out, a lot of times people overlook the amazing record he released talking about battling cancer. That record got overlooked because people didn't catch it because that's not that type of content isn't something that's common. It's not commonplace in hip hop. We're not used to people discussing that, so content like that gets swept under the rug and overlooked. It's not given the attention or the shine that other records or other type of content may get. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. And what? How did Lil Boosie? I mean, I've interacted with him multiple times, but it's never been on a personal level like where I'm talking to him. It's more just been on security or been in the room with him. I never seen him open up about cancer. How was it like speaking with you and him, people who were survivors of cancer? How was that conversation like?
Man, talking to that brother was like listening. Talking to him, it was ill because it was like listening to myself. Because when I asked him how did he feel when he was diagnosed, he looked at me square in the eye and he said with such swag as only Lil Boosie could do, and he was like, "I wasn't tripping on that shit. I knew I was gonna be straight."
Mm, mm.
And I was like, "Damn, he sounded like me." Well, at least after I finished playing my violin, and I had the largest pity party on the planet. He sounded like me once I realized what was happening, and it's no coincidence he got the results that he got.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
it's something ill that I realized that in the midst of making the documentary, I learned that people live with cancer for a long time and won't know that they got it, and they live with that stuff for years. But the moment they hear the words come from a doctor saying, you have cancer, they die shortly after. So it makes me ask the question, is it really cancer that's killing people? Or are people defeating themselves? And that made me go inward on my journey. And that journey and that fight taught me that winning is definitely an inside job. So when we see people winning on the outside in their lives, it's because they learn how to win on the inside.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And it's something that people are not winning on the inside, so they're not able to beat cancer on the outside. You know what I mean? And that brother right there, man, he said it with so much confidence, like he couldn't believe I asked him. Like he was damn near, like he was damn near offended that I asked him that. Like, you know how the youth be like, "Fuck you, man. Fuck you, talking about." That was kind of like his energy, and I was like, man, I drew more confidence from him because at that time when I interviewed him, I was just coming out of chemo. I was just finishing chemo. So his unknowing to him, his confidence gave me more confidence.
That's powerful, bro. Now you say chemo. Now, okay, help me. I'm a little ignorant to the process of chemotherapy. I've seen women who may lose their hair and things of that nature in real life and on television, but I don't know the process of a man who's going through chemotherapy. What are some of like the side effects that you may have suffered?
Man, bro. Chemo, the best metaphor that I could use with chemo is Pandora's box. Meaning that there are certain side effects that are affiliated with chemo that I don't want to say remain consistent with everybody, but they are very common, and that is hair loss, vomiting and throwing up. Those type of symptoms are very common with chemo. But I call chemo Pandora's box because symptoms range from a lot of different things. And the reason why it does that is because everyone's body is different. Everyone's level of toxicity is different. Everyone's level of white blood cells is different. And you know, when you say that you're kind of ignorant to what chemo is, man, me too. And I went through that shit. So I asked my doctor to share with me what is chemo. And I asked her, I gave her the groundwork for the answer that I wanted her to provide me. And I told her that I know you went to college. I know you got a lot of big fancy words you could use when you telling me what chemo is. I told her, you probably spent $500,000 on your education. I said, don't give me the $500,000 definition. Give me the $5 definition of chemo. And she said, Antoine, chemo is when we pump your body full of medication and it brings you this close to death. And we do that in hopes that your body will fight back. Now check that out. We bring you right to death's door in hopes that your body will fight back. They don't have a clue as to what's going to happen. So when chemo comes in, it kills good cells, bad cells. It's like the ATF. It's laying everything down. So your side effects could be anything because your body is extremely vulnerable. You talking about your body is so sensitive that somebody putting on too much cologne can set you off and make you sick. You just smelling somebody's perfume, or you walking into somebody's house and it may not necessarily be clean to a certain degree. It'll set you off. I mean, the littlest thing cause like you can get irritated and catch a cold from getting irritated. is deep. So everybody's side effects is different. You lose your fingernails fall off, they get black and fall off. You lose hair, you lose your appetite. You could lose weight, you could gain weight. Um, Memory loss, man. There's so much that go along with that because, like they say, they bring you this close to death. So you really a damn zombie. You know what I mean? And that's scary, man. And it puts the words in perspective when we say that doctors practice medicine. You know, if you call me and I say, man, little bro, I'm over here, what you doing? Man, I'm on the basketball court practice. I mean, I'm experimenting with my hook shot, my jump shot, my free throws. You're like, oh, you know, he's practicing. So doctors practice in medicine. Like, think about it. You go to a doctor and you say, I feel drowsy. They're going to give you 2 to 3 different medications to treat one symptom. Why do they do that? Because they looking for you to come back and say, this one made me throw up. This one gave me a headache and didn't work. This one did help a little bit. They write that down in their notes. They do that with so many people. And that's how they learn this drug don't work. This one might work. This one they experiment. They practice. Who they practicing on? You and me. You know? And that's scary, man.
Yes, sir. And thank you all, and thank you for your testimony, and thank you all for watching. We're dealing with our brother Antoine Muhammad and him beating cancer, and it's a powerful story. My sister Mimi says, are there any particular songs that you listen to help you maintain your positive attitude?
Yeah, man. I actually listen to selfless plug. So something interesting that I did while I was going through this piece. Everybody thought I was crazy. Like when I was diagnosed, when I was laying in my hospital bed awaiting my surgery, little bro, I was laying in my bed and in my head, I was writing an album. I wrote an album called The Tumor. And these are songs talking about what I was going through while I was going through it. So as I was recording these records, I was listening to them a lot. But what I drew inspiration from while writing those records was a gentleman by the name of Marvin Sapp. He a gospel artist.
Yes, sir, I'm familiar.
And it's 2 songs I listen to on repeat all the time. And one of them was that Never Would Have Made It. And the other one was He Saw the Best in Me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And man, I get the chills thinking about this particular piece, man. Cause man, Josh, when a doctor tells you, I remember walking into the room, little bro. It was a Jewish doctor. I'll never forget him. His name was Dr. Weiss. He walked into the room, and this was his first time meeting me. After he looked at my charts from my biopsy, he walked into the room, little bro, and before he even greeted me and said hello, this was 2 weeks before my birthday. Before he even greeted me, he walked into the room and he said, the first words out of his mouth was, oh, so we'll let Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Health slug it out. He thinking about the money, right? So this man walked into the room and he looked at me with eyes so concerning. And he said to me, I noticed that your birthday's coming up. You got something brewing in you, young man. He said, have fun on your birthday. Celebrate it. Have fun. And I was looking at him like, what is this man trying to communicate to me? I'm so damn naive. I didn't realize initially he's looking at me like, man, you're about to die. But in that same moment, I realized what he was trying to say to me. And he looked at me like I was crazy because I started smiling back at him. Because I was looking at him like, if you don't get your goof ass out of here, I was looking at him like, oh, he don't know what I know. He don't know how I was raised. Like, he don't know. And I can't fault him for that, but I was looking at him like, ain't no funeral popping over here, man. And what's ill is that all when you look at a lot of your close friends and family, and you talking about your homeboys that you might send a text about some BS. Man, I was out at the club, whatever, man. Man, there was some shorties in there, man. You know, we as men, we text and contact each other for the silliest things, and your brothers are always there to respond. But when you send your brothers and your friends a text message that says, I was diagnosed with cancer, and you don't hear back from them, that fucks you up. And when you see them and they shake your hand and they like, man, how you doing? And I look at them and I say, oh, man, I'm straight. Oh, okay. But how you doing, though? Man, I'm good, bro. Thanks for asking. Man, that's good, bro. But for real, how you doing, though? And it makes you yank your hand away from like, how many times I got to tell you this shit? I'm straight. But it makes you realize that people are looking at you like, I'm about to lose Twan. Twan's about to die. Because people can't fathom surviving cancer. It's really a thing. And when I realized that, that's when I decided to title the book and the documentary, Cancer Saved My Life. Because I want to change the narrative on how people look at cancer. Cancer is not, cancer is only, it's only one contender in a fight. Whenever you have a fight, both parties got a chance of winning. And people got to realize that it's a fight. It's not a slaughter, it's a fight. So start training and prepare for the fight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, bro, Antoine, 1 second before you finish. Could you please, somebody's saying they can't see your face. Could you turn the light on in your car for me?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yes, sir. Okay, perfect. Yes, sir. So you got to train. So you got to train for the fight. How did you train for the fight?
Man, our beautiful sister. I don't know if you remember Sister Ebony, Josh. She was on the Vanguard. She was a bodybuilder. Sister Ebony works at a gym here in Chicago called Melanie's Fitness. And Sister Ebony said to me, she said, Twan, I shared with her my diagnosis. I was actually in the gym crying because I couldn't believe what was happening. And she said, Antoine, I want you to try something. She said, you might like it, you might hate it. But just try it, see what happens. She said, stop eating meat. I had like 3.5 weeks until my surgery when they was due to measure the tumor again. She said, just stop eating meat and see what happens. And I did it. The tumor shrank significantly in 3.5 weeks. And I looked at that as a sign for me. So I stopped, I gave up meat. And that was the beginning of my journey towards becoming a raw vegan. So now my diet is 90% raw food. I eat raw fruits and vegetables, salads, juices, raw fruits, vegetables, and juices. The 10% cooked that I eat is vegan food. I don't eat, regular cooked food. If I eat some cooked food, it's gonna be vegan. Exercising religiously. I just left the gym. That's why I'm talking to you from the car. I was in the gym, hitting the steam room and working out. And prayer. I stepped up my prayer regimen, meditation. And prayer for me as a result of that diagnosis started looking different. I used to pray a long prayer, then I get up and go about my day. And my mentor said to me one day, he said, Twan, you stubborn as hell. And I looked at him like he was really mad at me. And I was like, what? He was like, man, when you pray to God, you praying to him because you want answers, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, so that's something like that's a conversation then, right? I was like, yeah. He said, but you pray and say what you got to say, and then you get up and you don't listen to nothing he got to say. He was like, sit your butt down and meditate. Shut up and listen and see what God got to say about what you just said. And stop being so get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Sit down and listen. You might find that the only way he could get you to listen was to give you cancer, because it was the only way he could get you to sit down and listen to him. And that was part of my revelation to realize that that's exactly what God did for me. Because you know how we were growing up in Chicago, it was always go over here, go over here, go over there, go over there. And I never sat down and just listened to what really I heard my elders talking, but I never sat down and really internalized what was being said. So Allah decided to sit me down and force me to listen. And man, I swear my ears got bigger. I'm all ears now, little bro, for
real. Okay, speaking, that's powerful. And thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your questions and comments and your likes. Speaking of listening, you said the Most Honorable Louis Farrakhan gave you some powerful words. What did he say to you?
Man, he was sharing his journey with me, his bout with cancer. And he said that he went through a point of being kind of upset or conflicted with how he felt that God or Allah would put that on him. And he said he had a moment where he sat down and he reflected on his life. And he said to Allah, he said to God at that point, thank you. You gave me an opportunity that many don't get. Some people don't make it out the womb. You allow me to see your creation. You allow me to touch it, experience it. You not only did that, you allowed me to be enlightened, to touch others, to experience your creation on the level that most people don't. And for that, I'm grateful. And he said that when he had that conversation with the Creator, his illness his situation, as far as his illness, started to change and get better. And it taught me a valuable lesson that no matter what's happening in our lives, God or Allah only promotes life. God, Allah, does not promote death. So anything that he places in our way, in our life, or in our experience here on earth is to promote more life. We just have to grow in our awareness to understand what's in the trials and tribulations placed on us and what we need to take away from it to grow our life. And that begins with remaining grateful. Being grateful for not only the good things, but what appears to be negative things. Because if it was not for the good things, for the bad, for what appears to be negative things in our lives, we wouldn't grow. If we woke up and everything was good, we would never grow. So how many of us thank God for that? And it's in that bitterness or that lack of understanding or lack of gratitude that cancer feeds on. And I prayed and I had a moment. He inspired me to have a moment just like that, where I went within myself and I had a sincere moment with the Creator where I had the same conversation. And here I am today.
Yes, sir. That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. Okay, what advice would you give to anybody who may not be going through cancer, but just going through any illness as far as a positive outlook or how to overcome or survive or beat their illness?
I would say change the way you pay very close attention to your thoughts all day, every day. Remove negative processing of thoughts from your head. Stop saying things like, I can't afford that. Stop saying things like, I don't want to be late on my rent, or I don't want to lose my job. Just focus on money. Focus on checks coming in. Focus on being healthy. Try your best to remove negative thoughts from you. And if you find yourself in the middle of a negative thought, catch yourself and find a way to turn that same thought into a positive thought. I would say that as far as your thinking, as far as your mind, body, and spirit, right? That's mind. For body, I would say, if that shit didn't exist on this planet 100 years ago, why are you eating? In the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that. And as far as spirit, I would say trust in the spirit that God blessed us to have, because ultimately that's who we are. Learn to start processing and understanding the physical realm, and understanding that a lot that's happening in the physical realm does not apply to us. Understand that more than half of what our eyeballs show us is a lie. Understand that we can't believe where we are right now. Don't believe the position that you're in right now, because it's not real. You a God. You a God. You a goddess. So understand and believe that. So when you say to yourself, I'm a God, and you look up and you laid on your condo, you struggling from this, you suffering from that. That's not who you are. So why would you believe that? Don't believe that. Be somewhere else up here and trust the spirit that God gave us, and just start coming out of your house. Like, that's one thing about Kanye. He was the top producer before he was the top producer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest even before he really believed he was.
Yes,
because
sir.
he threw it out into the universe. He walked around and he acted like he was already that. Do that to feed your spirit and walk in that, and trust the process. Stop focusing on the end. Stop focusing on the end. Tell the universe, tell Allah what you want, and trust that He loves you enough to give it to you. And
yes,
start moving through life like you got that stuff already. And stop worrying about how you gonna get it, because that ain't your job. Your job ain't to figure out how you gonna get it. Your job is to tell Allah in the universe what you want, and know that He loves you enough to give it to you. And just continue to love others and love His creation and love your brothers and sisters. And as long as you do that, He gonna give it to you. You know? So I would say start there. And as you start seeing the growth and the progress in your situation, do more of all of those three things. And the more you do of those three things, in my humble opinion, you'll be surprised at where it'll take you in life with anything.
Excellent. Yes, sir. Okay, another question. I got two more questions. And thank you all for watching. And thank you, Brother Antwone, for just giving us some powerful inspiration about beating and overcoming cancer. How long did it take? How long was the entire process once you found out? How long did it take until you were cancer free?
With my bout with cancer, I was diagnosed in December 2013. I had a mastectomy February 2014. And after I had the surgery, they told me I was pretty much cancer free because I had the tumors removed. What's interesting though is that when they remove the cancer, they never remove all of it. They can't. It's just impossible for them to remove it all because they didn't put it there. That's one thing. it took me a little bit over a year to really realize that I had made it over the threshold. And I struggled with a lot while I was getting to that point. I allowed the doctors to do the chemo because mentally I was able to rationalize the concept of chemo. Okay, they pump you full of meds. They come in like the ATF. It lay down the cells. My body could generate more cells. But I struggled with this radiation thing because they say radiation causes cancer. But then they're going to treat cancer with radiation. As a Muslim and as a God-fearing man, and as a Muslim, we some bean soup scientists, mathematics. You know what I mean? So I wrestled with that concept. So my family pressured me after a while, like, you gotta do radiation. And so many people that we all know died from cancer. I didn't want to do it, but they pressured me to go talk to him. So I said, I'll at least talk to him. I'm not guaranteeing nothing, but I'll at least talk to the radiation oncologist. Josh, when I went to talk to this dude, man, this is when I tell you, man, doctors don't expect us to ask intelligent questions. So I went to see the doctor, the radiation oncologist. He walked in the room and he said, Mr. Young, you might be cured, you might not be, but we don't know. But because we don't know, you need to do radiation, and you'll be better off with the radiation than you would be without it. What Scooby-Doo say, huh? So I looked at the doctor and I said, Doc, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the very expensive degree that you have. I'm sure you spend a lot of hours and time and money of obtaining that degree. But I need this to resonate well with me. This process has to sit well with me because you all told me that the majority of this is mental. So with that being said, I have to be able to mentally accept whatever choice that I make and be confident in it. So with that being said, you walked into the room and said, you don't know where I am. But you told me where I'll be if I do what you're telling me to do. I said, Doc, if I was on my way to your house and I said, I'm on the highway, Doc, I got lost. I just said it like that. I'm on the highway. I'm lost. How do I get to your house? Would you just say, hey, Swan, get off on the next exit, turn left, go 3 blocks? Or would you have to ask me, Twan, what highway are you on? Would you have to know where I am? He said, of course. I said, well, you just told me you don't know where I am, but you told me how to get to a certain place. I said, that don't sit well with me. He said, well, I'm just giving you the facts. I'm a numbers guy. I'm like, man, I could get with that. Mathematics is Islam, Islam mathematics. I can get with numbers. I said, so Doc, tell me what's the numbers? What are my chances that the cancer will not come back or will come back if I do this radiation? He said, your chance, check this out. He said, your chances will be increased to 50-50. Cricket, 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 cricket. Increase. So with that being said, I said, Doc, I'm a numbers guy too. And 50-50 is fancy talk for I don't know what the hell is going to happen. So I'm going to cover myself either way. And I said, again, I'm not trying to offend you. But I'm not looking for you to guarantee me anything because I know in this there are no guarantees. I'm just looking for your confidence in the processes and systems that you're trying to impose on my personal space. So I said at bare minimum, you have to give me a 51-49. You can't give me 50-50, Doc. You gotta at least be 1% more confident that it's gonna come back or it's not. But he couldn't give me that. So with that being said, I told him, don't call me, I'll call you if I decide to do radiation. Because Doc, I'm 50-50 now. If you don't know where I'm at, I'm 50-50 now. And I'd rather be 50-50 with me behind the driver's seat than be 50-50 with you behind the driver's seat. Because I at least know where I came from. And I know where I want to go. You don't know either one. So I can't let you navigate. So with that being said, I'll see you. Peace. And man, that's where I was at. That's where I've been at with it ever since.
So you didn't get it. So you didn't get the radiation.
I did not, because he told me, check this out. He said if I do radiation, there's a 40% chance I'll get lung cancer. And there's a 30% chance that I'll get that my heart will be burned, that I'll get cancer in my heart. And there's a 20% chance I'll get throat cancer because of where they radiate you. Now here I am representing the 1% of men that get breast cancer. 1%. I beat the odds with 1%. You think I'm finna roll the dice with 40%? My hand, I said, Doc, my hand too hot for that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm at the casino going to cash out against 1% odds. You think I'm finna mess with your 40%? You could kick the biggest rock you could find. Because if I burn my lung and my heart, now I can't exercise. I like to work out. Studies show that when you're going through cancer, chemo and cancer, being active helps with increasing the chances of you turning it around. So if you burn my weapons, what do I have to fight with? No, sir, I'm not doing radiation. Peace.
How and what year was that?
2014.
Wow. Okay, so you beat the odds. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2014. Yep.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I got two more questions. I see everybody comments and watching. I thank you very much for watching. Okay, brother Antoine. With the recently right now, everybody's mourning the death of Nipsey Hussle. That's something that LA, it might be shocking to a lot of other people in a lot of other cities, but in Chicago, people call it Chirac. Crime is, death is every damn day. It seems like somebody's dying in Chicago. How do you stay positive in an environment like Chicago, where death is, where you know what I'm saying, it's like all the time?
Man, you know what? I thank Almighty God for introducing me to faith. I thank Almighty God for introducing me to the Nation of Islam and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The reason why I say that before answering that question is this. Minister Nuri said something one day in a lecture. He had me cracking up. He used this acronym about media. He said media is an acronym that means most effective devil in America. And I work in the public school systems as a youth guidance counselor. So we have access to the studies in the crime lab statistics. And truth be told, crime and murder in Chicago is down. It's nowhere near where it was in the late 80s, early 90s. But two things. Now we got social media. So we don't have to wait for the news. We don't have to wait to see which stories news decided to talk about. We know every time somebody gets shot, every time somebody get robbed, every time somebody get beat up, every time we know about it, so it feels overwhelming. And now you take that and you put that in the hands of a devil that has an agenda to teach black youth that they have no value, that they savages, that they are 21 savage, that they are savage, they this, they, You know, they are thought. They savages in thought. He gonna take that information and run with it. Oh, it's Chirac. Y'all some killers. Y'all this. We're gonna give you the, and it's serving its purpose. So when you ask how am I able to move around all the violence, it's because I know not to believe what my eyes show me. Just like we just said, I trust in the spirit that Allah gave me, and I trust in the spirit that He put in my brothers and sisters, and I believe in that. And like Kanye said, when your faith is up, and you know you're doing everything you can to be right,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you allowed to float and move in a room full of vultures,
Yes,
and
sir.
not
Yes,
be
sir.
and not be affected by it. So that's how I'm able to do it, man. That's how I'm able to do it. All praise be to Allah.
Excellent, man. And I'm rooting for you. And okay, one last question, because you said so much deep, powerful stuff. Two quick questions. What do you do for fun?
I listen to podcasts. I read. I exercise. Um, yeah, I'm pretty boring, man. I listen to I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot. I love to exercise, and I've taken on the hobby of learning how to be learning how to be a learning how to be a raw vegan chef. So I'm like really into this. I'm all in with this healthy lifestyle. So it's fun to me. So it's weird and refreshing, man, to be in a space to when you ask me what I do for fun, I can honestly say live. The process of living is fun to me now. Damn, I just realized that with you asking me the question, man.
Okay,
Damn,
excellent.
That's dope.
Yes, sir. Okay, so well, two more questions, because I thank y'all, and I got your text message. What about dealing with the food? Okay, so did your taste buds change, or did you just fix your mind to eat like vegan food?
Man, I'm being taught by a brother by the name of Dr. Derek Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a foodie like all of us. And his thing is, I don't give a damn if it's regular food, vegan food, whatever. I ain't eating no shit that tastes nasty. You know? So his thing is, why does food have to taste nasty? And like he taught me that he asked me, have you ever just ate a burger without seasoning it? So that shit tastes pretty terrible. So you season it. What is seasoning? It's plants. The reason why any food that we eat tastes good is because the seasoning makes it taste good. So ultimately, the plants make it taste good. So then it becomes, why don't you season your vegan food well? Learn how to properly season and prepare the food so that it could taste just as good as anything else. Oftentimes we hate eating healthy because it don't have that ooh, that, you know what I'm talking about, that. So
Absolutely.
his thing with me has been showing me how to make it taste good, because if it tastes good, you're gonna want to do it. And it's not gonna be that thing you gotta do. It's gonna be that thing you looking forward to doing. You know what I'm
Wonderful.
saying?
One last question. How did your views on love, as far as in relationships, due to your beating cancer, how did that make you change your view of women, or of a particular woman, or how did that change it?
Man, it made me love on my family more, because you never know when your number's up. So it makes me look at every single day individually as its own identity. And I try to maximize each and every day the experience of every day for what it is, because the next one not guaranteed. And then on the flip side, on another level, I learned to stop becoming emotionally involved, or better yet, I'm learning to stop becoming psychologically involved with anything. Meaning that oftentimes we throw terminology around. This makes me happy. That makes me happy. This person makes me happy. This man makes me happy. This woman makes me happy. Can't nothing make you happy. Can't nobody make you happy. You have to be happy. And certain people and other things can build on that happiness, but they can't make you happy. If something or someone defines your happiness, what happens when they gone? You're not happy no more. So you have to be happy with yourself. You have to be able to sit in that room by yourself for untold amount of time, and somebody should be able to walk past that room and look in there and be like, damn, Josh look like he having the time of his damn life. Ain't nobody in there with him. That's happiness. And when you're able to go through a journey and find that, life itself is fun. Because one person you're going to always be with is yourself. So when yourself is your best friend, you always good. And
that's great.
It taught me to look at the experience with self on a different level too. Like, oftentimes we look at people that hurt us, right? Or people that do stuff that make us not trust them, right? And we say to ourselves, man, I don't trust that person no more. Or I don't mess with that person no more. But how many times we said to ourselves, man, I'm going to go support bro tomorrow for his event. Or we tell ourselves, man, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. Or we tell ourselves, man, I'm going to call brother. I've been telling him I'm going to call him. How many times do we break promises to ourselves? So then the question becomes, if we break promises to ourselves all the time and we take a look around, we start noticing that we become people that we have a lot of people in our lives that really don't trust us 100%. And why should they? We don't trust ourselves. So with that being said, if we don't trust ourselves, then we have to look in the mirror and say to ourselves, and we do subconsciously, we tell ourselves, because we lie to ourselves, we end up not trusting ourselves. And we subconsciously start saying to ourselves, man, I don't fuck with you like that. I don't rock with you. But think about it, right? And I'm about to prove that we do that. Because we'll buy our car, our favorite car, and we'll wash that shit every day. We'll read the manual. What type of gas this car takes? We'll never deviate from that. We'll beat the brakes off somebody. They try to put some different gas in our car. Try to put the wrong oil in that car. But the body is made of 75% water and it's made of 100% minerals. But we put that gyro cheeseburger in there. But we put all this poison in our body. So we don't value ourselves. We put value in everything else because ultimately we don't trust ourselves. We don't fuck with ourselves like that. And when I realized that, I realized that's a form of self-abuse. We really abusing ourselves, and that's why as Black people we go through life and we attract so many others that abuse us because we abuse ourselves. You know, it's deep, bro. It's deep, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, well, what's the main message? Thank you all for watching and thank you for being so transparent. What's the now that you beat cancer, breast cancer, you were part of the 1%. I didn't know that was 1%, but you beat stage 3 breast cancer. What do you have next going on in your life moving forward?
Right now, I'm glad you asked that. Right now, beating cancer allowed me something that was very important in my life. And what it gave me was the opportunity to look at myself and see that with Allah's help, with God's help, I was able to develop a discipline to do something that most people in the world don't believe can happen. So now I work to take that discipline and look around in other areas of my life and look for other areas to take that same template and apply it to other areas of my life. And do the same and start reaping success in other areas of my life. Because now I realize that it's discipline. I was listening to a man talk the other day, and he said 90% of the time when you watch the Olympics, the difference between a gold medalist and a silver medalist is less than it's usually hundreds of a second. He said that's not ability, that's attitude. So the difference between a winner and a loser is attitude. So I want to take the same attitude I use to beat cancer and beat poverty.
Yes, sir.
And beat self-abuse and beat lack of healthy relationships. I want to take it and beat other things that afflict myself so that I could qualify myself to not go out into the community and show our brothers and sisters how to start walking and talking like the kings that Allah created us to be.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Man, thank you. And I thank everyone for watching because I had another program in mind, but I spoke with my brother Antwone, and just as soon as I started talking, I was like, oh no, the people gonna need this. We're gonna put this on YouTube. Because we'll come back to top 5 next Wednesday, but right now I know a lot of people going through things and trying to overcome things. And tomorrow I got a podcast dealing with overcoming depression, and I got a man and a woman that's both gonna be on at the same time. But man, when you can beat cancer, man, that's power. That is overcoming depression. That is, something we
That is.
Sir. So I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, brother. Please give your family the greetings and love from me and mine. And we look forward to keep seeing your music, your documentary. And I still think that we got robbed at the talent show, you know what I'm saying? Being the MUI outcast.
Man, thank you for having me, little bro. Like I don't get to see you a lot anymore because you're in Atlanta, so I don't get to talk to you as much. So I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to talk to you. Not only talk to you, but talk to you about something real.
Yes, sir.
And be able to share my story and connect with you on a deeper level. Thank you for allowing me that, bro.
Thank you very much. And I look forward, when I go to Chicago, I'm gonna check in with you and keep doing your work with your music and inspiring everybody. And what's your Instagram so people can follow you?
My Instagram is Antoine Young and the number 1.
And number 1. All right. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully that you can you were inspired today to understand that you can accomplish anything. Because if somebody can beat cancer with their mind, their mindset, and faith, then we can overcome whatever obstacles in our way as well. Man, love you, bro. And please tell Yusuf, man, I got nothing but love for him and I'm rooting for him.
Yes, sir, I will. Love you too, bro. Thanks, bro.
No problem. All right.
Peace.